Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
Welcome to episode 47 of the Exploring Washington State podcast. This episode's a conversation I had recently with Madison Ford. Madison is the Director of Tourism and Events for the Kittitas County Chamber of Commerce. We talk about Snoqualmie Pass all the way east out to Vantage. We talk about Cle Elum, Roslyn, Ellensburg. We go down the Yakima Canyon. Madison shares with us a whole bunch of great ideas of things to do and see in Kittitas County, no matter what time of year. And so if you haven't been down I-90 and driven through Kittitas County lately, you're missing out. Go take a look. But before you do that, make sure you subscribe to us on whatever podcast channel you're listening to us on. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. If you can give us a review on iTunes, that'd be great. We appreciate that. And if you want to share it with your friends, we'd appreciate that too. You know, we're just grateful if you guys are tuning in, but we want to make sure we're delivering content to you that you enjoy and you find valuable. So if you got any feedback, go ahead. You can email me directly at podcast@explorewashingtonstate.com. And if you want to be a guest on the show, send me an email. Let's talk. Maybe we can make that work. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I currently serve as Central Washington's Director of Tourism and Events through our Chamber of Commerce and work with our municipalities to oversee countywide tourism strategy, event planning. I kind of work on the lodging tax process and really work hand in hand with hundreds of tourism-related businesses to leverage their messaging to our tourism audience. I graduated from Central with a bachelor's degree in public relations and a focus on events, and shifted into digital marketing, working at a few digital agencies over on the West Side with clients in destination marketing. Maybe West Side is something that we really just say over here on the East Side, a derogatory term.
It
is. But yeah, my heart was really drawn back to Kittitas County and all of the amazing, diverse attractions that we have here and being able to share them. So I'm happy to be talking to you today.
Yeah, this should be fun. So, referencing Central, when I jokingly said before to many people, is that my freshman year was the best 6 years of my life. I have very fond memories of Ellensburg and Kittitas County. And since we just live in Wenatchee, we have friends. Well, they just left the region, unfortunately, but we'd go see them play. They'd play like at the Dakota or at Cornerstone Pie. So we'd come to Ellensburg, for dinner and go back home at night. So I miss Ellensburg in a lot of ways. I just couldn't convince the family to move there because it was too windy. So when we all think about Kittitas County, at least the people that I talk to, we think about Ellensburg, but there's a lot more going on in that county than just Ellensburg. So I'd really love it if we could start maybe going from the west side of the county and work our way east for this conversation.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off in the western part of the county and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So Kittitas County is kind of different from a lot of other destinations, even in Washington State. We are made up of a collection of really small communities and some that are medium-sized, and they're all really growing and becoming more and more popular. But as you said, Ellensburg is really iconic. A lot of people know Cle Elum and Roslyn, but folks might not know that Kittitas County spans from Snoqualmie Pass all the way out to Vantage. So Snoqualmie Pass in itself is a huge tourism driver to our area. If people don't really know much about Snoqualmie Pass, it is known for skiing. There's a lot of hiking. Drew Brew, the brewery, is up there. We have an incredible the Summit Inn, as well as some really good restaurants as well. And we like to bring people over the pass just to get that first taste of what Kittitas County can look like. Right now, it's it's kind of covered in snow and really popular. There's a lot of snow parks and hiking in that area. And so, yeah, it's something that's really attractive for West Side travelers because it is so close to Seattle. It really you can get there in around an hour or less. And we really have developed our targeting methods on a tourism level to attract educated, responsible, and supportive travelers to Snoqualmie Pass, ones that will enjoy our area, support our businesses, and also leave our natural areas better than they found it. So that's been a major focus for us up there.
And that's so important these days, is that we're good stewards of the areas that we're visiting and taking advantage of. For me, it's funny because all these years that, I've gone over that Snoqualmie Pass hundreds of times, and I've never thought of Snoqualmie, the ski area at Snoqualmie, as being in Kittitas County. I know it is, but I always think of it as King County. I don't know why that is. I just associate skiing at Snoqualmie with the west side. I don't think about it as being part of Kittitas County. So,
right. Well, and that's what makes us a little bit different.
Interesting thing to me.
Yeah. And the biggest, besides Easton, which is a fun destination on its own, the next town is Cle Elum east. And that is about 30 miles from Snoqualmie Pass. So I think that's why a lot of folks don't associate it with being over here, that they kind of think that Cle Elum is the first Kittitas County based town. When in reality, we are just a little more spread out than a lot of other regions in our state.
Well, like you said, Easton or, even Roslyn, Ronald, all of those, but they're off the highway. So you don't really think about it, I guess, when you're driving through. When you're driving 90 on your way from the west to the east, you tend to just think, what are the exits?
Right.
At least that's what I do. And that's not necessarily fair. So what's going on up in Snoqualmie this at the time of this recording, we've just had I think the pass is open finally. It was closed for a while because of avalanche, and they've got a lot of snow up there. So what's going on up in Snoqualmie this season? Has it been busy up there?
It has been. It's actually been a very dry winter for us, meaning that our upper county region has gotten snow. And of course, Snoqualmie Pass has gotten snow, but up until just a few weeks ago, our whole lower region of the county, pretty much anywhere east of Cle Elum, and Cle Elum itself hasn't gotten much. And so it's created an issue where, especially with the pandemic, a lot of folks are wanting an excuse to get out. They want to get outside, take their kids to go play in the snow. And it creates a lot of pressure on Snoqualmie Pass, especially during dry winters where that's the only place to recreate in the snow. So we've had to work with the Forest Service and a lot of our other partners, the Washington State Recreation Forum, the Public Health Department, obviously, and the Pass, to come up with ways to kind of educate travelers in advance before they even get here on what's open, what's not open, best practices, how to recreate responsibly. It's really about that pre-travel education, as well as dispersing folks. We know that they're coming, and so we've been able to open up a temporary snow park in Easton at our 29 Pines campground near Cle Elum, and just kind of point folks in other directions rather than right in the congested Snoqualmie Pass area. So it has been extremely busy, but it's what we like to see. And we do love to have West Side travelers come over and support our businesses. And so the more that can happen, the better in the eyes of a lot of our small business owners that rely on traveler spending.
Sure. Well, let's just stick with Snoqualmie for a second, but let's imagine now it's summertime.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on up there during summertime for people?
In the summer, Snoqualmie Pass really changes. A lot of that snow sticks around for a while, but there are still a lot of opportunities for recreating. Obviously, Snow Lake and a lot of other trails in that area are increasingly popular, as it is really beautiful on a sunny summer day to be able to hike up and see a tranquil lake that's starting to unfreeze with a frozen mountain backdrop, but a blue sky. That's something that really makes our area very unique and special, that we're able to hold that snow in Snoqualmie Pass year round, and then have other areas in our county that are more of a desert feel. So a lot of hiking, a lot of beer drinking. Obviously, Drew Brew is a major player in Snoqualmie Pass, and they're connected to the Commonwealth, which is a delicious restaurant. And we find that a lot of folks come up to recreate for part of the day, and then for the other half, kind of hang out, get a beer, and relax as well. It's kind of that perfect balance to both be active and then be able to sit back and enjoy just resting for a while as well.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You may not know the answer. You probably do, because I feel like I'm probably the only person that doesn't know this. But how did Drew Brew come up with that name? Do you know about that?
That's a funny question. I know that the owner, I work a lot with him, Drew Ernst. His name is Drew, spelt like Drew, D-R-U. Okay. And so I'm assuming that he just kind of worked with his team to play off of that name, and just added the brew to the end, spelt the same way.
Okay. Because I've always wondered, it's an odd name to me. And how did it come about? So, okay, cool. All right. Well, let's go a little to the east. Do you want to talk about Easton or Roslyn, or where would we go next?
I would say, Easton is a great place to stop and hike. They have a fun parade and other, unique events that happen, but it is a pretty lazy town. One of the bigger ones, which is 30 miles east of Snoqualmie Pass and is still a small town in a lot of our eyes, is Cle Elum. And they are really a hub of outdoor recreation. They have Lake Cle Elum right there. They have a beautiful historic downtown with shopping, restaurants, a new art gallery, which you guys should check out, called Pacific Crest Creatives, where they do classes and they highlight over 20 artists from around the Pacific Northwest. So their downtown core is extremely attractive to a traveler because it does allow for that escape from the west side, from the gloomy skies and from the traffic, to almost as if you're going back in the past into history to experience a more simple lifestyle. And that's accompanied by, of course, the luxury of Suncadia being within that region. The whole area is known for weddings, events, wine tasting, of course, and then being kind of accompanied by the smaller communities of Roslyn, which is tucked up a little bit past Cle Elum, the smaller community of Ronald, which is even past Roslyn, and other surrounding communities as well, such as Teanaway, where folks can go out and hike, get out into the mountains, experience what that feels like, and then come back to Cle Elum to rest and rejuvenate before heading back out.
Yeah, I've got two places in Cle Elum I enjoy, and that's the 509 Bakehouse.
Yes.
I really do like them. But the other place that I always get a kick out of is, and they don't do it as like they used to, but Owens Meats and their vending machines of meat. I always just thought that was the most bizarre idea to put a vending machine out with meat.
Right.
And I remember I saw one at Gerald's bookstore in Ellensburg, and I think there was like steaks for sale in there. I was like, I'm going to buy my steak from a vending machine. Well, actually, yes, I am. I'm going to say I've done that once. But they're putting them in lots of locations, and we've talked about Owens Meats before. And I just think that every time I drive through Cle Elum and I see that vending machine out in front of their store, I just chuckle. I just think it's cool.
It is so cool. They're very, and with their new Point Reston. No, it is. They're expanding so much with their new Point Reston location and putting new vending machines up all over the state, kind of allowing people to access the good stuff before actually coming over the mountains. They're a must stop in the area for sure.
And I've been there before where the line's out the door and everybody in the line is from Seattle. I mean, they just are. It's just comical. It's like, we're all from the West. At that time that experience happened to me where the line was out the door. I was living in the Tacoma area and I'd come over and I wanted to get some meat, and the line was out the door. I was absolutely blown away. And we started talking to people, and we were all from the West Side coming over to Cle Elum to go to Owens Meats.
Right. It's a huge traveler stop for sure.
Yeah. No, it is. Let's talk about Suncadia for just a second, because honestly, I've been there a couple of times. I don't know much about it, but they've got a lot of golf there. Am I correct in that?
Yes, they do. They're actually a lot of people think of them as a resort when really they are a whole campus of different properties and different attractions. They have the Prospector Golf Course, which was actually designed by the Arnold Palmer Course Design Company, and the Rope Rider Golf Course, as well as the Tumble Creek Golf Course, and multiple pools. They have the Swiftwater winery, and you can do tasting and eat there as well. They have the lodge and the inn with different restaurants, as well as the Glade Spring Spa, which is a whole nother experience in its own. So Suncadia to us isn't just a resort. It really is a whole campus of activities. And we work with them to provide different seasonal activities too. So in the winter, they offer temporary, ice skating and sleigh rides and unique activities like that. And then in the winter, they have their bike riding, and you can rent scooters and really create your own experience throughout the year.
Yeah, I know it's pretty. We've gone over there a couple times because some of our friends have played in live events there, and it's always was kind of like, wow. In fact, our little origin story, the reason we moved to Wenatchee was our friend's band was playing there one night. We drove over from the Tacoma area, and my wife started talking to some other people there, and they said, you have to move to Wenatchee. That's where you need to move. And my wife comes back to me the next day and says, we should go look at Wenatchee because we want to leave. And so because of Suncadia, we moved to Wenatchee. That's our story. Anyway, let's keep going past Cle Elum, but I want to skip Ellensburg.
Okay.
For now. We'll come back to Ellensburg.
Okay.
Vantage?
Yes.
Do we want to jump all the way to Vantage, or do we?
Yeah, there are a lot of small communities I have to at least mention before kind of getting into that conversation. Of course, Roslyn, which we touched on, it's extremely historical. There is incredible mining history. located in the Roslyn region, as well as Ronald. And I kind of mentioned Teanaway. In my opinion, Teanaway is our new up and coming recreation hub. And I really see a lot of growth happening in that region. We have, in my opinion, as a local hiker as well, some of the most beautiful hikes in our county are out in the Teanaway. And it's kind of a local secret. So those who listen to the podcast might kind of be let in on that. But it really is something very unique and special and kind of tucked back right now, and something that we're working on expanding and kind of building out the infrastructure. But I really do see it growing into being something similar to some of our other communities that folks travel to go see. As well as Thorpe, which Thorpe is kind of a smaller community right outside of Ellensburg. It isn't necessarily a traveler hotspot, but they do have like the Thorpe Mill and a lot of interesting history there. And then, of course, Ellensburg, which we don't need to talk much on. A lot of people know about Ellensburg, but we do have an incredible historical
we'll come back to Ellensburg. We'll give Ellensburg its 15 minutes of fame. We'll come back. It gets it.
One thing that folks,
it's funny, Thorpe,
go ahead.
Just before we move off of Thorpe, though, the fruit stand there off the highway, all these years I've driven past it, never stopped. And one time I needed gas, so I pulled over, got gas there. But I went in there and I went into the antique mall of that thing. Yeah. That building is huge.
It is.
If you are into collectibles and old stuff, definitely I would say that be someplace. I stop there now, not regularly, but I do stop there 3 times a year and go in there and look around and see what might catch my curiosity. I just thought of it as a fruit stand on the side of the road. I didn't think anything of it, and it's a lot more than that.
It is. Yeah. They have a lot of local beer, wine, sauces, candy, other edible goods downstairs. And then they rent out the top 2 floors to local artisans who can kind of feature either their crafts or their antiques, as you had kind of mentioned. And it really is a unique experience to just go in there and walk around a bit and see what you can find. It's like treasure hunting.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I hijacked it again. Onward. No. I-90 East.
I-90 East. Yeah. So another thing that I guess east of Ellensburg is worth mentioning is our scenic byway, the Yakima Canyon. A lot of folks think that the canyon's associated just with Yakima, but our county does go deep into the Yakima Canyon, and it's a beautiful destination that I think is underrated. We have a ranch out there, a restaurant, a winery. River rafting is major during the summer. We have a lot of hiking opportunities, camping as well. It's one of the top 10 Audubon destinations in the world. We have incredible bird and bird watching opportunities for folks too. So I kind of like to point people in the direction of the Yakima Canyon, even when they visit Ellensburg, just because it is so unique. And yeah, it's a very important piece of our county. Even though a lot of folks just like to think Kittitas County is aligned right on I-90 there. I think it kind of adds something special.
And I'm doing my part to just keep that, because I'm going, let's go east 90. I'm not even going. You're absolutely correct. The Yakima Canyon's very cool. And it's worthy of much more than we're giving it even. It's very cool.
Yeah. And
what,
go ahead.
What about Vantage? Let's just jump to Vantage for a second. We'll circle back. Like I warned you, this will bounce around a lot, and I'm keeping true to my word.
It's totally fine. We have our county's so diverse. It's hard not to jump around. Vantage. So 30 miles past Ellensburg is the region of Vantage, right on the Columbia River. The Columbia River is kind of the border of Kittitas County, or at least what we like to think of it. And we kind of serve all of our, just a lot of the stakeholders and partners in that area that are on that left side, the west side of the Columbia. We have the Grinko Petrified Forest out there, which is really interesting to go and check out. There's a rock shop out there too that's associated with it, which is very interesting for those who are seeking out different petrified wood and agate and different geological elements of our area. We also have the Gorge Amphitheater, which of course is a major venue. It has been prized as one of the top outdoor venues in our nation. And so that is a major attraction to the area. Even though it's not necessarily in our county, we get so much tourism of folks coming over and staying here, hopping over for a concert and then coming back, or even going through our smaller communities, stopping in Cle Elum for gas, stopping in Ellensburg for lunch, and to check out the area before heading up. It really generates a lot of tourism for our region and is a big part of what we do. And then another big project is the Vantage Bay development, which is just now being built. And it's kind of a long-term process, similar to Suncadia, how it was kind of in the works for years before it was actually built out. In about 3 years, they're going to move into phase 2 of their plan, their construction, which is building over 40 townhomes right there on the Columbia. And then after this, they're going to move into the final phase of their development, which includes putting in a winery, a restaurant, and potentially a boutique hotel. These are all kind of very overhead plans at this time, but the fact that this area has so much untapped potential, and this group is coming in and developing something that is going to provide a lot of resources and things to do and accommodations for travelers. It's just needed more now than ever. And especially with events starting to open up, I think it'll be a hit. It'll be a driver to our area for sure.
That's great. What can you tell us, if anything? So if you can't, that's fine. But what can you tell us about all the wind turbines? Do you guys do are there anything involved with the discussions about, what's going on with all those? Not from a non-political, I'm not trying to be political. I'm just trying, what's going on with them? I mean, why Kittitas County, what can you share about that?
Yeah. Our area, the Kittitas Valley which really is the lower county, what we like to call it, of Kittitas County. So pretty much a little bit past Cle Elum through Ellensburg and out towards Vantage, we're kind of it's a valley, right? So it kind of works as a vacuum to suck a lot of that wind into our valley. And it's a reason why our hay is such a big industry. We're known for our Timothy hay, and we actually import our hay to countries all around the world. China, Japan, a lot of horses that are racehorses, award-winning animals, are only fed hay from Ellensburg. And we actually, here in our office at the Chamber of Commerce, do the certificate of origin to actually prove with every shipment of this hay that it's coming from such a renowned region. So there is a lot of wind here, and anybody who's spent a little bit of time out in Ellensburg probably knows that. we work a lot with Puget Sound Energy and their Wild Horse Wind Facility, which is just outside of Ellensburg, a little bit east. And they do a really good job explaining the process, explaining how they are focusing on renewable energy and what the turbines do. You can actually go onto their website and sign up to do a tour, and they will walk you around. You can actually go inside of the turbines and explore them for yourself and learn more about them as well. So, yeah, that's a major attraction. We always point people in the direction of contacting the Wild Horse Wind Facility to kind of check that out.
So you're saying we can go, if we're a guest, we can go inside the turbine. Are you saying we can go climb up to the top of the thing or just into the base of the thing?
No, unfortunately, not to the top. That would be pretty wild.
Okay. I didn't want to go to the top.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the top.
No, just inside. And it is I think that they are still requiring reservations for the tours, but they do offer, tour guides. They have educational displays to learn more about the solar technology. And there's trails that lead to a solar array, turbine generator, and other displays. And we actually have a little visitor center up there as well, that is reopening later this year. So you can go up, learn more about our area, chat with them, and have a tour to actually go inside the wind turbines and check it out. I wish I had the exact numbers of how tall they are, but it seems from when you're driving by that they're so small, when in reality, you can fit a whole group of people inside of one. They are pretty large. And yeah, they're able to take you up there and walk in.
I saw a photograph online, so it must be true. And this was a European wind turbine, right? Mm-hmm. And they were up at the top where the blades are, and there was 3 workers. They'd opened the cover up so you could look in. So they were looking out from inside the turbine itself,
wow.
The blades.
Yeah.
And there was 3 grown adults standing in this thing. So they're deceptively large.
Right.
It was crazy. So,
yeah, that's interesting.
All right. So I jokingly kid, we're going to talk about Ellensburg now. Central Washington University, the Ellensburg Rodeo. Those are 2 things that Ellensburg is known for. Can I put you on the spot and ask you for a couple of other things about Ellensburg that the general public might not easily, come to mind that are worthy of a comment?
Yes. And I would say for anyone listening, if you want to really check out all that Ellensburg is known for, I'll kind of shamelessly plug our website. We have a website called myellensburg.com. And there we kind of list out everything that there is to see or do, a lot of local tips, places to eat, stay, things to do. And so that's a really good resource. We are really known for our events usually. This year, of course, has been quite different, but I run our Winter Hop Brew Fest, which is an event where we have around 2,500 to 3,000 people, which is a big event out here in Kittitas County. We have around 20 different venues all over Ellensburg, with breweries and distilleries from all over the state and beyond. That come out and do tastings. And we have our Buskers in the Berg event, of course, the rodeo, and other major events that are put on by the Ellensburg Downtown Association as well. They do an amazing job. I think that the reason why events are so popular is because of our central location right in the middle of the state. Our historic downtown serves as an incredible venue. We now have a boutique hotel, the Hotel Windrow, which sits right downtown and offers a really unique accommodation for folks coming out for events. And also our beer and wine culture is really big out here. We have a lot of local businesses that are just passionate about what they do. And it shows through their customer service. So it really is a unique experience to come to Ellensburg. You don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to figure out where to find your friends, and how to get there. And it's not as hectic as a lot of the events that I find in other areas in the state. It really is a simple, community-based way of gathering. And then some other things.
In downtown Ellensburg, the architecture.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
It's okay. No, you go right ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I would just say some other things that we are kind of known for is our hiking. Of course, we have a lot of scenic drives. Highway 10 between Cle Elum and Ellensburg is gorgeous on its own and extremely underrated. Our whole county serves as really a seasonal escape for a lot of folks that live over on the wet side, as we like to call it, and just don't experience what a true winter feels like, what a true hot, blazing hot summer feels like. And out here, not only in our natural areas, our hikes are completely different if you do them in the spring versus the winter versus the summer. But also our community. We really are a festive community, for lack of a better term. Our businesses like to celebrate the different seasons during the year and the seasons of growth that we experience as a community. So I think that really rubs off on our travelers too.
Put you on the spot.
Okay.
I'm making an assumption that you are living in Kittitas County somewhere.
Yes.
You're a resident. Favorite lunch place?
Ooh, that's a good one. Right now, it's this little eatery called the Early Bird. I don't know if you've been there yet or not, but definitely check them out on Instagram. They have a Instagram that'll make your stomach grumble. They have really unique food. They have like different little Belgian waffles, edible, like savory waffles as well. And they have different scrambles, bowls, a lot of brunch related foods, which we don't have a lot of places in our county that are super, how do I explain this? Maybe just cut that part out, that we don't have a lot of places in our county, but I love how, I just love how the Early Bird is super innovative. They're actually moving their location from being across from Fred Meyer over to where the current, or the past Iron Horse, the pub was, right on Main Street. They'll be moving into that location, which is an iconic partnership that we've seen between Iron Horse and the Early Bird. And they're going to be expanding. So it's not all public yet, but let's just say there's some exciting expansion going on there for them to have another menu for later in the day as well. And potentially like some Asian fusion inspired menu selections as well. So if you're in Ellensburg, definitely check it out. It's worth it.
Okay. All right. I'm a coffee fan, so I always like to know where to go for a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Are you a coffee drinker? Because that's your out. You can say no, and then I can't. You can, but where do you go for coffee?
Well, we have a Ellensburg staple called D&M, which I'm sure a lot of folks, it might ring a bell. So we have a downtown location for D&M, which is extremely popular, and it's really where I like to go if I want to go and sit down, because it's right downtown. If the farmers market's going on, it's a gorgeous spot to grab a coffee and sit down and kind of experience that and be able to walk through the market as well. We have Heyday Bacon Brew, which is a new one as of I'd say in the last year or so. And They are right near the downtown core as well. They're delicious, and they bake a lot of, 100% of their desserts and their pastries right in-house. Baker actually started the cafe. So that's another top choice. And then for folks who are driving through, definitely check out 1883 Coffee Co. They are over on West University Way, and they are hot. They have went from buying this drive-through location, I'd say about a year ago. I think they just celebrated their first year anniversary. Now they are so popular. There is always a line, and definitely worth waiting in. They create really unique drinks, and it's a local family that runs it that's just really passionate about the area too. And so, yeah, those are kind of I'm a coffee drinker, obviously. I got a lot of favorites.
Well, that's okay. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. D&M's location in downtown's, you're right. I've gone in there, and it's a great place to sit. It's got a cool vibe.
Yeah.
And I just, I love the downtown core. I love the Davison building and all of that. I very fond, like I said, my freshman year, downtown Ellensburg. I saw D&M, but I have not tried 1883 Coffee Co. So I'm going to make sure I check them out on my next visit to and through Ellensburg.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us, more, give us a little bit more insight to I don't want to say this. And that's the beautiful thing about this podcast. I can just mutter and ramble and everyone listens.
Please
tell us more about what the Kittitas County Chamber, the chamber, what's the chamber's goal? What are they trying to do just besides tourism though? I mean, for those people that aren't maybe members of a chamber of commerce or all of that, what's kind of the overarching premise of a chamber of commerce?
Yeah, our whole focus is building business and building community. This last year, I was thinking about it. It has been so calm and such a moment for a lot of us on a global scale to stop and pause and reflect and find new things to do and slow down. But in the chamber world, it has been the exact opposite. It has been just every single day, changes come out that we're monitoring on a national level, on a state level, and with our county officials to kind of direct how we can support those businesses. And it has been absolutely insane in a good way. We serve as that resource as the biggest nonprofit in Kittitas County to be that business support and offer an array of different ways that we provide that for both members and non-members. But this year has just been wild. And our businesses have just been resilient and creative, which inspires us to continue working with them and serving them. We have a membership sector of the chamber. So I think around 500 members across our county, which is a lot for us, for Kittitas County. And they have exclusive member benefits, as a lot of people know what a chamber does, and that being kind of the backbone of our organization. We help network them and connect them and find different resources and referrals to be able to connect them in a more strategic way. And then we also help businesses as a whole through our economic development sector, providing grant opportunities, workshops. We have a small business advisor who works at our small business development center, which is out in Cle Elum. And she works hand in hand with all of our small businesses, all the way up to our larger ones in manufacturing and other major industries, to offer them a free service for business coaching. She helps with marketing support. She helps with looking at their books and their accounting department and helping strategize how they can automate in that way as well. And so outside of our membership, we have a whole nother sector that's just supporting business as a whole in our community. And then additionally, of course, tourism, which I am contracted out through our county and then other municipalities. And, you know, my department really doesn't have to do too much with membership. I just work with all of the tourism related businesses across the county to really leverage what they're doing. We have over 100,000 social media followers on all of our campaigns. And in the last year, we've generated almost 1 million users to our tourism websites. And this number is up 21% over the last year, over 2019. So even with the pandemic, we see that there is a major interest to travel to Kittitas County, which is a whole nother side of economic development. And this year, in this case, recovery, that kind of aligns with the chamber's goals as well. So kind of a long answer, but we are super multifaceted and work with businesses in many different ways.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's a great answer. But you're not a one-dimensional person. You don't just work at the chamber 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So what do you do? Where do you go? What places in Washington do you like to go to when you're off the clock, if you will?
Yeah, I am a hiker and a backpacker. So a lot of my time is spent outside. I really do like to recreate in Kittitas County. I honestly think that, for being someone who really values getting outdoors, this is one of the most feasible regions to live and work and play and be able to experience different landscapes and trails and other recreation-based opportunities that are all within like a half-hour drive. It's just way too easy out here to make the excuse to go anywhere else. But of course, I love Olympic Peninsula. I love over on the west side where I'm from. There's a lot of I'm from Tacoma, Puyallup area. And of course, the restaurant scene over there is incredible. The events are so fun. And then, of course, the North Cascades are a super hot hiking location. And I'd prefer to go east if anywhere. If I'm choosing a hiking destination, I'd rather go up towards Chelan or towards Leavenworth than over on the west side, just because that's how we are over here.
I love it. That's how we are over here.
Once you go east side, yeah, you don't go back.
Anybody on the west side. Yeah, you don't. You just don't. So why don't we wrap this up? And for people that want to take a look at what the chamber's doing, and they can be found online. So where's some good places to point people to? And also you have a personal blog where you kind of chronicle some of your hiking. Mm-hmm. If you want to share that, that'd be great.
Yeah. I would definitely follow Central Washington Outdoor. We're on all social media platforms, and the link to our website is in the bio of our Instagram page or any social media. This campaign is really focused around what I was talking about at Snoqualmie Pass, recreating responsibly, figuring out where to go, where not to go, learning about the history of our region, collaborating with other travelers and recreators on where the best spots are to go for playing in the water or photography or for viewing wildlife. That's kind of a huge hub that we work with a lot of our partners to just point a lot of outdoor resources. Also follow my Ellensburg, as I had mentioned. And then Discover Cle Elum is another one of our key campaigns that is really important to us and is a really fun one to follow. You learn a lot about the area. We leverage different businesses that you should check out when you're in town, and other things to do. And the website link is in our bio as well, discovercleelum.com. And then personally, I'm on Instagram at Explored by Madison Ford. My blog is in the bio as well, Outdoors Explored, and I blog about getting outside, the way that it connects us to the world and other people and ourselves, of course. So thank you. Please follow us on all of those.
There we go. Well, I really appreciate you being on. This has been a lot of fun for me. And it's always kind of fun to talk about. It's funny. I'm going to just say this. I feel like Ellensburg, I consider Ellensburg home to me. I don't know why. I lived there for about 6 years. And I couldn't, when I grew up in the Tacoma area, I couldn't wait to leave.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed my college years, and I really felt really very connected to the whole area of Ellensburg and Cle Elum and all of that. I have friends in Ellensburg and Cle Elum, and we go over there regularly. It's a beautiful spot in the state. And I encourage people to go take a look at it, because you said some things here that, like, you brought up the gorge and you broke my heart. I've been to a show this in a year or more.
Yeah.
And it's just devastating to me personally, but no one cares. But thank you for being on. I really appreciate it. And we will put a link to your sites in the show notes and all that, and we'll encourage people to check it out and keep on doing this, because you guys are doing a great job in the county.
Great. Thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I love everything that you guys are doing as well. I'd follow you for years at this point, and love all the content that you put out, and really appreciate you leveraging a lot of our small businesses too.
Thanks. The check's in the mail. All right. That's it for this episode, folks. Take care.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.